This friend of mine collects records and he wanted me to build him some shelves to store all of his records. So I wanted to make him something nice, but I also wanted to only use scrap wood. And you see, the thing about vinyl records is they get pretty heavy. So I have these boards that are pretty thick and really damaged, but this one might be too damaged, so I need to replace that. My name is Jesse, and I found these. My Aunt Darla gave me this drill like 19 years ago. Still going strong, so that's a pretty good drill, I guess. So I'm just going to show you how I built some pretty cool record shelves. The first step here is to remove the screws. I don't know, I just prefer working with scrap wood because it forces me to be a little creative. And I probably like that it's free wood. But like the top of this screw came off, so I have to use the back of a hammer and I have to hammer it with another hammer to get the threads properly stuck inside the back of this hammer. If I leave any metal in these boards, it can cause problems for me, so I gotta get the screw out. Yeah, I wasn't about to let this screw ruin my whole project. Now I'm gonna cut these boards to length using a very old circular saw. I found this old circular saw in an abandoned house like 15 years ago. It's just my backup circular saw. I don't really like it that much. But if you want to make shelves on the cheap, sometimes you gotta use tools you found in abandoned houses 15 years ago. It'll probably work fine if I just give it a new blade, but that's a problem for future me. And these boards were like maybe 18 feet long before, and they're like glued up strips of oak. They were the bed of a large box truck, and some guy was trying to use them to build a deck, and they warped in the weather. So then he was just throwing them out, and I came over and picked them all up. I used some of them for the floor in my shed, and these ones here are going to make pretty good shelves. They are definitely not good for outdoor projects. And I decided on the length of these shelves based on the size of my friend's apartment. These are going in the corner of his living room, but there's like a really large window right there. So for no reason, I want to show you guys how slow this thing cuts. So it's one of those things where I thought I was saving time by not going to Home Depot to buy a new blade. So I don't know, maybe I was wrong on this one because it takes forever to cut through this one board. But I'm probably like that with a lot of my tools. I don't want to change the blade because I'm afraid to damage the tool. I don't know, do you guys ever get like that? I don't know why I get that feeling. And I'm just about all the way through this board, and there we go. And then times that by a whole bunch of cuts. And because these boards are from the bed of a box truck, they were made to interconnect lengthwise. So I'm going to cut off the sides so that these all get clean edges. And I want each shelf to be a little shorter than a record sleeve, so that way it makes it a little easier to pick them up, I think. And in case you're wondering, this is a very old table saw. I actually got it for free from a guy in Sunnyvale. I like this one a lot, but it cuts really slow, and I was just using it slow for like a really long time. It's like probably every tool I use in this project has a dull blade, but I wasn't sure about that until way later. So yeah, this lumber here is pretty ugly to begin with, but I really want to use it because it's thick and dense. One of my favorite CDs when I was in high school was Fat Boy Slim's You've Come a Long Way Baby, and the album cover was like a whole wall that's covered in vinyl records. So it could be just the way they edited the picture, or it could be the weight of the records is bending the shelves a little bit, but either way, I do not want these shelves to bend under the weight of the vinyl records. These are going to be some crisp, straight shelves. Another friend of mine gave me his dad's old thickness planer. I've wanted one of these for a long time, and finally I have one. I've never used one before, so you are seeing me here figure out how to use this. It only kind of pulls the boards through. I have to push a little bit. And this little thing here is called Indicut, and it indicates how much it's shaving off, but I don't know how accurate that is. And these dirty parts indicate where it hasn't been scraped up yet. And before I started doing this, I picked which side of the boards would be the top, so that way the bottom side doesn't get as much special treatment as the top side. But yeah, this tool is really eliminating all those uneven waves and everything. Like these boards were like really cupped and warped, and now they're coming out super straight and clean looking. I really didn't know what to expect when I started this project. So yeah, I just gotta run all those boards through here, top side up and then bottom side. It is incredibly loud, but it is way faster than the belt sander. And there's like a logo branded into the board right there. It almost completely disappears. It's like this planer is revealing the board's inner beauty. It turned out it was there all along. And look how good that board looks now. And I just have to repeat this process for both sides of every board. And I got a couple of 2x6s. They're going to become the frame or the legs of these shelves. It's like leg frame or something. I don't know. And these are just two beat up boards that I had sitting around. Like in the end, these boards come out okay, but I really wish I had just gotten new boards because I end up having to repair a lot of little holes in these things. So you saw me cut them to length, and now I'm putting them into 2-inch strips on this table saw. And this old table saw might be pretty rickety, but it cuts very straight. And next I'm going to clamp all these pieces together and then cut some dados into them on this table saw. I don't know if like normal people would just do them individually, but I didn't want them to be a little bit uneven, so I clamped these boards together and like never removed those clamps. This old table saw came with this like cross-cut miter sliding thing. I don't know if I've ever used it before, and I wasn't sure it would be able to do this job, but it managed. I just had to go very slow and very steady. And this cut is only like a ½ inch deep, but it's meant to hold the shelves that I just cleaned up. And each shelf came out to a slightly different thickness, so this was a little bit tricky actually. I had to match each board to a notch and then make them the exact thickness of that one. Now I'm going to clean up these dado cuts with this chisel. Notice how I use clamps to hold down the board and not my left hand? Yeah, one time I cut myself real bad with a chisel, so now I just use the clamps. So yeah, be careful, think ahead, don't cut yourself. And see, this one came out pretty clean and nobody got hurt. And this is a pretty simple chisel. I got it in like a 3-pack from Home Depot a while back. And it helps to keep them very sharp, that way you don't have to apply as much pressure. And I think these notches that I cut are called dados. I don't use a dado blade, that's like a special blade for the table saw. That's just one of those things I haven't tried yet. I have one in the garage somewhere. One of these days I'll grow up and give that thing a try. I just did all these cuts with the regular table saw blade and just ran it through many times. I'm sure there are plenty of woodworkers out there who know the proper way to do these things. I just want to make sure the finished product is good and I have all my fingers intact at the end. I'll learn how to do things the right way later, I guess. And now I'm going to use a belt sander to clean these things up a bit. I got this belt sander from a guy in San Jose for like $5. That was a killer deal. And eventually this belt sander does give up on me, but man, I got a lot of projects out of it. So yeah, if you're out there saying you want to try to learn how to use these kinds of tools, I suggest learning on some used old tools. Like nice tools are nice, but it shouldn't be a barrier for getting started. And if it wasn't for like old used tools, I wouldn't even be in this hobby myself. And that's just one way to get this hobby to be more approachable. And this belt sander just like barely cleaned up these pieces. Like my inability to properly clean these pieces is making it so I have to paint them. There's just like a lot of damage on these pieces here. So once I give up on the belt sanding, I have to go ahead and fill up all these little holes. And for that I use a combination of like toothpicks, little sticks, wood glue, and sawdust. Like I don't really have a bunch of dowels, but I had access to a bunch of sticks. It's just from like a branch I cut from a tree in my front yard. The toothpicks are good for all the little ones, but those sticks come in handy for like the bigger gashes. And as I've said in other videos, this is just the price of using free lumber. When I look at my wood pile, I think to myself, I can build whatever I want. But then when it comes down to it, I have to like do all these patches. And like lumber is pretty expensive, so I'm probably saving a lot of money by using reclaimed wood. But then I really test my patience when I spend a whole day cleaning and patching up a piece of lumber. And some people save like really small scrap pieces of wood. I pretty much throw all that away. And I typically don't use high quality lumber in the first place. It's like the uglier the piece of wood is, the bigger it can be when I get rid of it. Or if it's a really nice piece of lumber and it's like not that big, I might keep it. But yeah, like if it fits in a bucket, it's probably going to get thrown away. The key is to keep the wood pile a neat stack. Right here, I'm going to use an actual stick from a branch to fill in this hole. It's like for filling in holes, sticks are perfect. They're better than dowels because they come in so many different sizes and they're just around. I had like a pile of branches next to my wood pile for a long time, but I actually ended up using them for projects. So yeah, sticks, it's part of my lumber pile, So I'm going to let this glue dry while I work on something else. I have to give the same treatment to the shelf boards. And I think I might be a little inconsistent with choosing which blemishes to patch up. I just want to make sure there's no splinters or things that are going to break off later on. Yeah, if I ever sell a piece of furniture and the customer gets a splinter, I would be devastated. And I'll fill up this big hole with a stick here. And now it's time for the random orbital sander. So I cut these to the length of the circular saw, then I cut them into strips with the table saw, then I try to clean them up with a belt sander and patch up all the holes with wood glue, sawdust, and sticks, and now I'm going to clean them up with the random orbital sander. I wanted to leave the corners all crisp, but then I got like a splinter and I'm like, no way, I'll just round them all off with a sander. I probably need a better wood species if I'm going to leave some crisp edges. And this step is just to finish whatever the belt sander didn't do well enough, and to clean up all the little patches I made. I can either sand them down or cut them with a separate tool. And it's kind of crazy to think that I wouldn't have to do any of these steps if I just bought new lumber for this piece. But I guess this is what makes it a We Found These kind of project. Right here, there's a pretty big stick sticking out, and then I just take it down with the sander. Like you never even noticed that it was there in the first place. And just so you know, the two 2x6s that I used to make these pieces are totally different species of wood. I got one from like a barn that was torn down, and the other one was from an old workbench in one of my neighbor's garages. They're just some leftover pieces from other projects, and then they got put in this one. This is a piece from that old barn. I couldn't get those grain waves out, but that's alright. It probably gives this piece a little more character, and that's about as good as this is going to get. And the thickness planer got these shelves really nice and clean, but I want to get them extra smooth with this sander here. It's just like a little bit rough, and there's a little bit of streaks that you can't really see on camera. And this board has a little bit of a split. I think I can fix it. We're just going to show off the strength and power of wood glue as I stick it in this crack here with this little sliver of wood, and I throw in a couple clamps, and the fact that a little bit of glue squeezed out is a good sign. I'm going to let that sit for a while I sand some other boards. We're going to get all these dirty spots out and then get this thing nice and polished up. And as I do do this, I make sure I get all these glued up spots, and I just slightly round over the front edge of this shelf. Usually people use like a special router bit for that, and I just use a sander. And I think a lot of people go over it with a sander after they router, so I'm just like eliminating one step. And let's check on this clamped up area. Okay, it's not falling apart when I remove the clamps. It's not perfect, but it's a lot better than it was. And look at my roommate watching me in the background, supervising me, I guess. Let's go ahead and be done setting these shelves and move on back to those legs. I'm going to cut some tapers in the bottom here, and I'm going to use the jigsaw instead of the circular saw. I just have personal problems with that backup circular saw. It's not very good. And in case you're wondering where I got this old jigsaw from, I'm pretty sure I also found this one in that abandoned house 15 years ago. I'll just give you some context. Back in 2011, I had a job that put me in some abandoned houses, and once in a while I'd find really old tools in there. I found a jigsaw, router, drill, circular saw, and you know those like green extension cords that you use for Christmas lights outside? We were supposed to throw everything into the dumpsters, but whenever I found tools, I'd just keep them. And that was honestly the worst job I ever had. But it did get me into some furniture flipping opportunities, which I ended up really liking, so I guess it worked out. Gosh, I tapered these and I'm not even sure you can see them when the shelves are on. I got a few boards here, they're going to go in the back of the shelves. It's going to give some shear support to like resist side-to-side movement. I did not like cutting that with that old circular saw, so I'm using this chop saw instead. And I just really need the ends to be perfectly square. And this miter saw makes really good 90-degree cuts. But these boards were shelves in someone's garage, so they have like some grease patches on them. It's some kind of non-Newtonian substance that was like impossible to remove. I'll clean it as best I can, but they still gotta be painted to hide all that nasties. And I didn't get this on camera later on, but I'm actually gonna put a screw from the shelf into this support piece. It'll just make it less likely for the shelf to sag in the middle. Sorry I forgot to get that step on camera, but you'll see later on that you won't see it. And per usual, I get to clean these boards up with a sander. And I've got some provincial stain for these oak shelves. Oak is a pretty sturdy material and it looks good when it's stained. It has a nice grain pattern to it, so it looks dynamic when you add stain. And I just use a paintbrush to apply this to the board. And this wood is really porous, so that stain just soaks right in there. So for this, I'm just going to make sure the whole thing is covered before I pull up that rag and just smear it all around. The old staining rag levels everything out. And you might want to use gloves when you do this, because I always keep my hands clean until the very end, and I get stain all over and it's really hard to like open doors and stuff. Like I used to have black headphones, but then our cat, when it was a kitten, broke the charging port, so now I use my daughter's old headphones and they're white, so they have a little bit of brown stain on them, and it looks really weird. You know, I just don't like using gloves, and I guess I don't mind washing my hands for 20 minutes after this. But anyway, these boards look pretty good when they get the stain on them. I don't know how to describe it. They look dapper or handsome. I don't know. They're just boards, but they look pretty good. It's like a combination of like clean finished and rustic. It's like these boards have really been around and still they remain trustworthy. And you know, I've stained pine before, and I don't really like doing that. No offense to pine. I use pine, but I just don't like the way it looks when it's stained dark anymore. I used to not mind it, but now I do mind it. But anyway, I'm happy to see these boards are getting a second life because they look pretty good in this situation. And I'll let these sit and sort of dry while I go work on those leg pieces again. I have this sort of dark gray paint that I'm going to use on these leg frame pieces here. So remember, these shelves are from my friend's vinyl record collection. So the dark brown, dark gray goes well with the rest of his furniture, but also these vinyl records are going to look really colorful on his shelf. So he has that like piece of color there. But yeah, most of my friends know that I like painting stuff fun colors, so they'll tell me ahead of time, like, hey, I don't have anything that color in my house, please make it neutral. And I just painted two sides of this leg frame piece here. I'm going to let it dry and go back to the shelves to stain the underside and the edges. So my philosophy with the underside of shelves and whatnot is that like someone might be able to see underneath that. So I tried to imagine the different scenarios where someone might look under there. Like you'd have to be picking up something off the floor in order to see underneath this. And in that scenario, you have blood loss to the brain, blurred vision, and you can't breathe very well. And in that moment, right before you either pass out or stand all the way back up, you might get a blurry glimpse of what's underneath the shelf. So that's pretty much the scenario that I'm preparing the underside for. The top can be scrutinized with clear vision, but only a lunatic would really lay down all the way to observe the underside and feel it with their fingertips. And at that point, you're not believing the opinion of a lunatic. Like in that specific scenario, you basically have a friend of a friend coming over, and then they lay down and feel underneath this thing and really look under there with their own flashlight, by the way. I think with all that behavior right off the bat, you know, some people might disregard that person's findings. So yeah, I focus all my energy on the top side of the shelves, and the underside just needs to be kind of close. Here I'm painting the remaining two sides of the leg frame pieces, and this is pretty good paint. I'll probably be fine with just one coat. I used to not like painting wood gray because I would think that people thought I was trying to make it look like it's metal. But yeah, this doesn't look anything like metal. It just looks like painted wood. And then it started raining on me, so I had to move the camera over and just finish painting these real quick. I use a tarp to shade the area where I work, but you know, sometimes it blocks the a little bit of rain. And all of these discolorations are going to get hidden by this dark gray paint. I got this gray paint from my shed, but then I ended up using it in a lot of projects. I'm going to put screws through the underside of the shelves, but first I got to drill out these holes. I start the drill at a 90-degree angle, and once it makes this divot, I'm able to lean it into the angle that I need. I think a lot of people use a jig for things like this. Not me, I just do it this way. And I have it at this angle so the screw goes from underneath the shelf into the leg frame thing. This shelf is supposed to fit right into that notch that I cut there earlier. This was pretty tricky to assemble with only 2 hands. I probably should have brought in some clamps. But like with just one screw in there, if I bump the table and this slab, this shelf tries to fall over, it'll just rip the screw out. But yeah, I was lucky those notches were really snug. They were really hugging the shelves, and that made things a bit easier. And after getting 2 shelves carefully moved in there, I can slowly bring this down from the table. Once I get those back supports set in, it's going to be a lot stronger. Yeah, and the back side of this thing doesn't look that great. Yeah, some unfinished wood and exposed screws. We're just going to keep it against the wall so no one ever sees this side. And I actually end up putting a screw from under the shelf into that support piece, and I just don't get it on camera. And like I said earlier, that just makes it less likely for the weight of the records to bend the shelves. And I didn't realize how sturdy this thing was becoming. Now it's really difficult to get the bottom shelf in place. Like, this whole assembly process stressed me out, but this really messed me up. Like, it's either going to break or it's going to get in there. And I wonder, like, if I had broken it, would I just throw away all this footage and not release this video? I guess we'll never know. Yeah, so this design, I thought it looked pretty slick, but it was pretty difficult for me to assemble. And then I had to be extra careful on this top shelf because I don't want the screws to poke out the top. And I have one last support piece to match the other 2, and that pretty much finishes this project. And these are the vinyl record shelves. They can carry a lot of weight. It's all reclaimed lumber, and the sides and back are pretty much open. It was a little tricky to assemble, but I guess kind of easy to make. Those shelves look pretty good, and they're very strong. The bottom 3 shelves are for the records. The top shelf is for like knickknacks and plants. And I actually think these colors look really good with plants. Oh, we should actually test to see if records fit on here. Wow, I don't have nearly as many records as my buddy does. Like, that's all of my records. He can fill the whole thing up. Yeah, do you guys see what I mean though? When you put some nice objects on the shelves, I think they look pretty handsome. Well, I built this thing for my friend. It's a permanent fixture in his apartment. I think it looks pretty good and it's very sturdy. And thanks so much for watching me make these cool record shelves completely out of found material.